So this commenter asks how I deal with that stereotype as an asexual male. And this is a really interesting question to me for a couple of different reasons. For one, it's interesting to me because being that asexuality is sort of an invisible orientation in that we aren't outwardly expressing it outside of things like ace rings and our communities and togetherness and actually telling people that we're asexual. So there's a lot of internal sort of stereotypes that people are going to assume about you if they don't know that you're asexual. And this is a pretty strong one that males such as myself have to deal with. So it's interesting to me because being that asexuality is not something that you can really show outwardly unless somebody knows, when someone looks at me, they see my gender. They might make an assumption about my sexuality, they might not. But one thing that they might relate to is the hypersexuality that men are stereotyped as being. Thinking back, there's all of these hypersexual males in pop culture, especially when I was growing up. There was, when I was in middle school, a show called The Man Show that I didn't get because I didn't have cable, but it was on Comedy Central. And it would, if I remember right, follow South Park, which a lot of my friends, when I would go over to visit, they'd want to throw South Park on because they did have cable. And then afterwards would be The Man Show, which had a couple of individuals who are actually still quite prominent today. Joe Rogan was a part of it, as well as Jimmy Kimmel. And there was a lot of hypersexuality going on that show, a lot of innuendos, and a lot of segments putting women in very sexual situations, such as there was a cutaway to commercials that they would have women on trampolines, and you can imagine what they were getting at there. And then there's other characters on TV, your Barney Stinsons, your Charlie Harpers, where sex was sort of this driving force for a lot of their character development, if you can even call it that. And shows like That 70s Show, which was so intensely about doing it. Movies like American Pie, Superbad. I distinctly remember one called The Girl Next Door, where it was so direct in especially the early 2000s and late 90s. And that was the impression of manliness that was fed to me growing up. Of course, then you've got all the locker room talk that it took a long time for me to understand a lot of what my friends, especially come high school, were talking about. A lot of it they were probably serious and wanted to do, which until I was in my late 20s, I still didn't understand that for a very long time. And then going into college, it intensified. But there's a lot of conversations that I just did not tap into because I didn't understand that what they were talking about was real for them. I didn't understand that these things that they wanted to talk about were actually desires that they had. I thought locker room talk was joking around, making stuff up. It's ironic that I mentioned Barney Stinson a moment ago because when I got to college, How I Met Your Mother was a very popular show at the time. And I would go out with my friends and I'd be ordering a drink or something. There might be a girl next to me. And a friend of mine who would just slide right in, start talking to the girl, and then suddenly go, by the way, have you met Patrick? And then walk away. And this was a thing that they did on How I Met Your Mother, where Barney would try to get a girl to talk to Ted by talking her up and then going, have you met Ted? And then leaving. They tried to put me in those positions. So it wasn't enough that I didn't want to pursue any physical relationship with anybody. my friends would put me in those positions because to them it was unacceptable that I wouldn't want those things. So for me not to, they couldn't wrap their heads around that. And being the 2010s, asexuality was not very well known. I'm talking like 2011, 2012. Even I hadn't heard the word asexual until 2013. So for them to make that assumption was based on some of these stereotypes that, of course, he's going to want that because what guy doesn't? Now, as for the question that was asked, how do I deal with it? Well, in my case anyway, I got rid of some of those friends. The have you met Patricks are gone because they didn't accept me for me. I tried having conversations with some of them. Some of them stayed as friends because they were willing to adjust and learn and listen and accept that I'm not looking for that. The ones that didn't accept it, the ones that didn't learn, and in some cases even tried to deny my asexuality, they're gone. They are long gone. I learned that it's really important that you surround yourself with people who support and care about you as you are. Now, that's not to say that they don't still have some of the locker room talk, and I can put up with it. Sometimes I might have a joke that I can slip into it. It won't be a realistic one, and they know that. It's probably just going to be a movie reference or something. But it won't be something that I've encountered. But they accept me for me. And it's so important to find people that accept you for you and are proud of you and are there for you. That's what I did, and that's how I deal with it. Thank you so much for asking that question. If you have more questions or you want to see something else talked about in the Aro or Ace realm, leave a comment. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more Aro and Ace content. Let's continue to learn and grow together.